everybody. I'm here today to talk to you about Bigfoot. So there's actually like quite a lot of stories about different kinds of wild men or ape men, like the abominable snowman and Yeti and Sasquatch and the swamp ape. But today we're going to focus on Bigfoot, who's actually like kind of new to the legendary creature world. He was not heard of before 1958. So in 1958, a letter from a reader was published in the Humboldt Times. The journalist that published it alongside some of his commentary on it, and he said that he thought it would be kind of a fun little Sunday morning read. However, it really took off and gained a ton of popularity, and so it turned into a thing. So this letter was from a logger in Northern California, and he talked about how they had found these mysterious, enormous footprints around their camp, and so he wanted to know kind of what they were all about. So after this story took off, the journalist and actually several other journalists went to follow up and see what was going on, and they found out that these loggers were lovingly referring to this creature as Bigfoot, and they were blaming him when anything would happen around camp. So if something went missing or something was vandalized, they were blaming Bigfoot. Though it was largely believed that the loggers actually didn't even believe in this creature, that they were just continuing to share the stories and talk about him for fun more than anything. They still got a ton of attention about it, and the show Truth or Consequences actually offered $1,000 reward for anybody that could prove the existence of Bigfoot. Now that prize was never claimed, obviously, because we still have not been able to prove or disprove the existence of Bigfoot. So, but yeah, it was out there and it was offered, and who knows, right? So basically, once the Bigfoot story started gaining popularity, a lot of men's adventure magazines started publishing articles, and a lot of kind of cheap trade paperback novels were written about Bigfoot. And in these stories, he was always referred to as male, and he was always referred to as being a very primal creature and dangerous. And then in the 70s, they released a bunch of pseudo documentaries that were about Bigfoot that essentially made him out to be a sexual predator that was lurking around the Northern California wilderness. So he had a really bad reputation, which is crazy because all that they had to go on was these footprints in the woods. So it's just nutty how our brain kind of takes things and runs with it. But in the 80s, environmentalists took the story of Bigfoot and used it as kind of a symbol of what we should be protecting in the world. So these creatures that we haven't found yet, environmentalists were talking about how we should be protecting them. So when they started doing this, they kind of started to turn the reputation of Bigfoot around. So he started to be less scary, less aggressive, less primal, and more kind of in need of our help and rescue. And then in 1987, the movie Harry and the Hendersons was released. And this was an amazing movie. In case you haven't seen it, you should find it and watch it. But when this movie was released, it gave Bigfoot kind of a really nice popularity boost because it portrayed him as being very friendly and really in need of help. He was just a misunderstood creature of the woods. So that's kind of where it turned around for him. And I think it kind of stays like that now. People aren't really sure what to think, but he's not as like horrible as he originally was made out to be. So a little fun fact about Bigfoot is that the FBI has had a file on him since 1976. So that's like really cool. So at that time, Peter Byrne, who was the director of the Bigfoot Information Center and Exhibition, sent the FBI about 15 hairs with a piece of skin attached, and he said that his group had analyzed it and they were not able to figure out what it came from. So he hoped that the FBI would be able to to kind of help figure out what this might be and see if they had analyzed any potential Bigfoot hair or skin in the past. Now, the FBI said that they had never analyzed anything that could potentially be from Bigfoot before, but as a favor to him, they did analyze this hair and they determined that it was from a deer, which is sad and sucks. So, a lot of the Bigfoot stuff has kind of been debunked, which is kind of crappy. But in 2002, it was revealed that the original footprints that started all of this in 1958 were actually faked. They were put out by one of the loggers, Ray L. Wallace, and it was a prank that kind of blew up. And he was afraid to come forward after. So once he passed away, his family came forward with the story, and they actually have showed the footprints that he used. So it's quite unfortunate, but from this story came a very famous video that you might remember, and this video came out in 1967. It's the Patterson-Gimlin film, and it allegedly shows Bigfoot strolling along Bluff Creek in Northern California. So a lot of mainstream scientists just dismissed this video offhand without really analyzing it. It made it a little bit difficult initially for them to kind of prove or disprove it, because these scientists thought it was ridiculous. So they grossly questioned its authenticity. But when scientists started finally looking into it, it has been like extremely debated whether or not it's real or fake, and still to this day nobody's really 100% sure. Now, Patterson has always maintained that he didn't fake anything, that this was a real video that he took. Gimlin, who was with him at the time, maintained for years and years that this video was authentic and it was not faked. However, in I believe 1999, Gimlin went on record as saying that he had believed it for a really long time, but as the years kind of progressed, he thought that potentially Patterson had made the video. It was fraud. It was a hoax. And very well done, but he wasn't totally sure because he was not in on it. So that kind of ended up being his final stance on it. So who knows? But in 1999, there was also a man that came forward saying that he was the person that was in the costume that was walking. And so he claims that it was him, and he said that he was in an ape suit, and that Patterson offered to pay him $1,000 if he would fake this video. And so he did it, and he said that he never would have come forward if they had paid him his $1,000 like they were supposed to, but they didn't. So he came forward. And then in 2002, Philip Morris of Morris Costumes claimed that he was the creator of this suit. So he said that he made it. He went on the radio and talked about it, and he described how the whole thing worked and how why the shoulders were so broad. There was football padding used underneath and clown shoes inside the costume, which was why the gait looked so different from a regular human gait. So this was something that was, again, kind of debated because he was not able to produce any kind of evidence or proof that he made this costume. There was nothing in writing. There was nothing anywhere. It was just kind of his word. So they gave him an opportunity to remake this costume, and he was unable to replicate the costume. The one that he made was very poorly done, and it didn't look anything like the original. So they kind of thought that he was lying, but he said that in his defense, he only had a month to make the new one, and it wasn't enough time, and so he wasn't able to properly replicate it. He said if he had more time, he could. However, he never attempted to again. When asked why he didn't come forward sooner, he said that he was worried that coming forward would damage his reputation because he would have been revealing a performer's secret, which was like kind of a big deal, and you're not supposed to do that. So unfortunately, like, we'll kind of never know if he was telling the truth or not, but it seems like he might not have been. I don't know. So the man that claimed he was in the suit, that claimed he was walking, he took a polygraph test and he passed it. However, Patterson also took a polygraph test and he passed it as well. So this is something that, like, I don't think we'll ever have a solid answer for ever. But it's really, I don't know. This particular incident with this video, I'm not really sure. But the other sightings of these kind of ape creatures really kind of make me wonder, because sightings from all over the world and all different places, not connected to each other, I mean, that's kind of interesting and compelling. But I mean, I don't know. You be the judge. You tell me if you think this video is real, if you think Bigfoot is real and roaming the Northern California forests, or if you think any of these other legendary creatures are real, like the Yeti and Sasquatch and all those other ape men that might be out there in the woods when you're camping, like creeping on you. Yeah, weird. This is why I don't camp. Anyway, if you have any questions, let me know, and I want to know what you think. And yeah, otherwise, I'll be back on another day with another video about something completely different. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.